He used to believe that being impressive was a form of protection. If people were entertained, if they nodded, if they stayed interested, then he wouldn't be ignored. So he learned to talk a little faster than necessary, to explain things before anyone asked, to add details that made stories sound better than they really were. Not because he wanted attention, but because silence felt dangerous. There was always this quiet fear in the background, the fear that if he stopped performing, he would disappear. At work, he volunteered opinions early, not because they were urgent, but because he didn't want to be forgotten. In conversations, he filled pauses quickly. He laughed even when the joke wasn't that funny. He agreed even when something didn't sit right. He told himself this was confidence, but deep down, it felt more like maintenance. Every room required a different version of him. Every group came with expectations. He adjusted his tone, his words, his reactions, not consciously, automatically, and the more natural it became, the harder it was to tell which version of him was real. Over time, the exhaustion crept in. Not the kind you fix with sleep, but the kind that comes from constantly managing how you are perceived at night. When everything slowed down, he replayed conversations in his head. What he said, what he should have said, what he should have left unsaid. There was no off switch. The strange part was, nothing was technically wrong. He wasn't failing. He wasn't falling behind. From the outside, everything looked fine. But inside, he felt stretched thin by something he couldn't explain. The shift didn't start with a breakdown. It started with a small observation. He noticed how often he rehearsed conversations that hadn't happened yet. How he planned explanations for questions no one asked. And one night, without drama, a simple thought passed through his mind. What if I stopped trying so hard? The first moment happened by accident. Someone interrupted him mid-sentence. Normally, he would have pushed through, finished the thought, made sure his point landed. But this time, he stopped. The room didn't react. No one looked uncomfortable. The conversation moved on, and instead of panic, he felt relief. So he experimented. He spoke only when something felt necessary. Not clever, not impressive, just honest. He allowed silence to stretch a little longer than felt comfortable. He let people misunderstand small things about him, and slowly something changed. He didn't disappear. If anything, his words carried more weight. People leaned in when he spoke, not because he dominated the room, but because he didn't compete for it. His presence became quieter, but more solid. Not everyone liked the change. Some people grew distant. Some conversations faded without explanation. He realized that certain relationships only existed when he was entertaining, letting those go hurt briefly, but what replaced them felt different, calmer, more spacious, more real. He discovered a strange kind of confidence, not the loud kind, not the kind that announces itself, but the quiet kind, the confidence of not needing to be the most interesting person in the room, the confidence of not correcting every assumption, the confidence of letting things be incomplete. At work, he stopped competing for visibility. He focused on the work itself. Let results speak. Some days went unnoticed. But over time, something shifted. When he did speak, people listened, because it was rare, and because it mattered. He learned to be okay with being underestimated, not in important ways, but in harmless ones. If someone thought he was quiet, he let them. If someone assumed he didn't care, he didn't rush to correct them. There was freedom in not managing perception. The biggest change wasn't visible. It was internal. The constant background noise softened. The urgency to impress faded. He started doing things for their own sake, not for approval, not for validation. And time began to feel different, slower, lighter. He didn't become lazy. He didn't lose ambition. He simply stopped outsourcing his worth to the reactions of others. And once he did that, everything shifted. He never announced the change. No declarations, no dramatic posts. He just lived differently, quieter, more grounded, more present. Somewhere along the way, he realized something simple. Trying to be impressive was never really about others. It was about not trusting himself enough to be ordinary. And once that trust arrived, there was nothing left to prove. Not to the room, not to the moment, not to anyone watching. Silence no longer felt dangerous. It felt honest. And strangely enough, that's when life started moving forward again.